Hey, Boaz here from Next Pittsburgh. You probably recognize this already. This is Noah's Ark here at Kennywood, and we're going behind the scenes of some of Kennywood's iconic rides to show us around. We've got Taylor, Director of Marketing, and people love walking through Noah's Ark, and people appreciate that rocking of the boat, but I think a lot of people probably don't know how the boat rocks, and you're going to show us.
Yes, absolutely. It's a really cool, mechanical room that we have in the center of Noah's Ark. So excited to show that off.
Well, let's go check it out.
Yeah, this version of Noah's Ark, was new in 2016,
Right.
but it's seen a couple different versions throughout the year since it debuted in 1936. So,
Oh, and now we're going already into sort of a secret area back here.
and this is the arm that actually rocks the boat. So it's a massive mechanical piece that gives the boat kind of that feeling that you're on the water as you're navigating through the tight corridors and the different thematic elements of the ride.
That is insane.
This ride is the last ride of its kind in the world.
There used to be like a lot of Noah's Arks around.
There used to be a lot of them. There is one still standing in Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is in England, but it's not operating anymore. So this is the last one that you can actually experience in the world.
Was this, I mean, like, I'm sure it's been updated and maintained, but this machinery is the same machinery that was moving it in 1930?
Correct. Yep. And you can see, there a lot of the wheels and the gears and everything. I mean, those are pretty much original to the attraction when it opened.
Gosh, I would never have imagined that this was underneath. Is there a setting we could switch and make it rocket really fast?
I don't think so, but that would be fun. I mean, that's definitely an idea, and I'll have to run that up the ladder, see if we can get that done.
Some of this machinery, this looks pretty modern, but then some of it, like this, looks pretty old. And is this stuff still being used?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different gags throughout Noah's Ark. When you're walking through, you'll trip like air hoses and stuff like that. So a lot of the behind the scenes mechanics of that is all lives within this room.
We're heading inside the Exterminator that our photographer Annie has called the Space Mountain of Kennywood. Maybe if this seems pretty appropriate.
Yeah, definitely an indoor dark roller coaster where you don't know, which way is up. Kind of perfectly sums up the Exterminator.
But today we're going to see it with the lights on when it's not dark.
Correct. Yep. It's very few people have seen it with the lights on, so we're excited to show you it today.
So walking into the Exterminator, we have these props here, but they look like they might actually be real machinery.
Yep, at one point they were real. I believe they were from some of the older steel mills around the Pittsburgh area. This entire ride is themed to the Kennyville Electric Company. Kennyville being the small kind of neighborhood we have over by the potato patch and that theme. So the story of the ride is that the sewer system underneath the Kennyville Electric Power Company is being overrun by giant rats.
Well, let's walk in here and see some of those giant rats over here.
Definitely in a different light. Usually when you walk through this space here, it's a little darker, a little eerier.
So today everything's sort of like locked down, nothing's moving, which is going to allow us to go a little more behind the scenes.
This will lead us to kind of the center of the ride. When you're on the Exterminator, it's a very dark, disorienting experience. You kind of don't know which way is up. The lights are off in some areas. We have some, thematic lighting showing specific props and stuff. So when the lights are on, it's a completely different experience.
So is it just one big room or are there multiple rooms?
So it's one big room. It is segmented off into different sections. Up here, you can kind of see where the track makes these hairpin turns. This is the section where the kind of the rotating brake unlocks and allows the car to free spin. So coming through here is where the car starts to spin. So this is where you kind of get the really disoriented part of the ride. And this area here is completely dark when the ride is in operation. There are no lights in here, so you have no idea where you're going. So once we go into the other room, you'll see there's more set pieces.
Where are we going? You're just walking us into a wall, but I see there's like a secret curtain. Oh my goodness, this is really big. It's just weird when you're on the ride, you have no sense of what you're going through.
Yep. So, and this is kind of where you can see the scope of the ride. And what's really cool, you see this area right here coming up above us is the lift hill. And whenever you come through the first drop here, it's a little bit smaller. The biggest drop, though, on the ride is this one right here. So it's about 42 feet tall. In total, there's about 1,400 feet of track in this building that you navigate while you're on the giant rats. But you can see some of the bigger set pieces too. So we have the giant boiler right here that the rats will go through, and just some other thematic elements. So we have, the end of the ride where you have some of the bunny hops.
And so this is pretty much where the ride begins, just around the corner. People get on the cars,
Yep.
and then the first thing they see is of course, the namesake Exterminator.
Yeah, yeah. So once you come out of the station, you make a quick left turn. You run into your first exterminator here, which throughout the entire ride they're kind of sprinkled around, and as the giant rats, you're trying to flee the exterminators. So you make another hairpin turn, and then it's right up the lift hill, which is pretty daunting looking from down here.
Absolutely. I also want to applaud you for making rats the hero for once.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just more fun that way.
Yeah. What do you need to do in the off season to make sure this is ready to go for, the spring?
Yeah, I mean, all of our rides, every off season, go through, regular routine maintenance. So, taking coaster trains apart, putting them back together, getting them inspected.
And so do you have like your staff members go through when you're just running it the first time? Because I'm sure you just want to run a few cars through just to get things going.
Yeah, so it usually goes through, a lot of test runs before we put anybody on it. We have water dummies that go in for weight and stuff like that, before any.
Just like a giant water balloon person?
Yeah, they're kind of like weighted. Looks almost like a milk jug filled with water with, that has the, legs to kind of fit in and, be secured within the ride vehicle. But, we'll run those through just to make sure that everything's functioning and working properly before we put any people on the rides.
And now we're at Ghostwood Estates, another one of your dark rides. This one, like looking at it close, this one doesn't even have a track.
Correct. Yeah, it is a trackless dark ride. So there's actually kind of like a metal coil wire embedded in the concrete that the cars follow throughout the course.
Okay, so we just get to go through here.
Yeah, and the story here is, you start in the pre-show downstairs with Lord Kenneth Ghostwood. This is his estate.
The thing that's really jarring in here is it's really beautiful. Like I feel like normally when you go through here you're so rushed, but like the details are so impressive. Like you just like all these books on the shelf, like a lot of these are real books. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different, Easter eggs in this space too. So a lot of people remember the old Gold Rusher attraction that we had here at Kennywood, which was actually on this level. It's what Ghostwood Estate replaced. A lot of people remember the spider specifically. So this is the spider from the original Gold Rusher that we have here, just as kind of like a nod to what was once in this space. And what's really cool is each of the targets too, whenever they are hit and activated, each one animates something, does something, whether it's a noise or an air cannon, or whenever you're kind of going through and hitting all the targets, you might not notice that because there's so many details in here. But that's what makes it so cool. It's very re-rideable. And
Well, one thing that's striking is these always look like sculptures when you're on the ride, but actually they're like reliefs.
yep, so yeah, that's
I had no idea.
optical illusion where you're going past it. It makes the face kind of look like it's following the car. So there's a lot of little, details and things like that.
Well, it is wild because there's nothing scary about it right now, and you have these normally it's like so atmospheric and spooky, and it's just like really wild, but also so cool because it's just like look at this feast set up on this table, like all the details, all the different fruits and vegetables and pigs and eyeballs.
Yep, yeah. I mean, they eat good here in the estate, and like I said, like the targets will activate different things. So if you hit this one, the pig moves. If you hit, that one, we have a ghost that will come up and startle the riders in the car.
Taylor, thanks so much for the tour. Thanks for taking us behind the scenes. And if people want to see all these rides in person, Kennywood's open for the season. They can come on down, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you coming out.